Welcome to Lisbon! We have finally made it to Portugal and we are so excited to show you around Lisbon this week with two special guests.
Oh, I can smell it strong. It's not that strong.
We have only about 2.5 days to see what Lisbon has to offer before we continue our trip to the south.
So come along and join me and my mom and dad and Dan as we explore beautiful Lisbon.
We've found that the best way to get to know most cities is from a local on foot. It's time for the walking tour.
As we set out from the spacious Praça do Comércio, our guide taught us two key things about the city. Firstly, Lisbon's history is marked by earthquakes. Small earthquakes are common here, but the major earthquake of 1755 damaged or completely destroyed most buildings in the city.
At the Church of St. Dominic, damage from the earthquake and a later fire are quite visible. While they've reinforced the building structurally, they decided not to cover up the damage to help the people remember what their city and church have been through.
The second thing our guide explained is that Lisbon's hilly setting would mean we'd get our exercise.
You probably have realized already that Lisbon is like a roller coaster, up and down all the time.
But the city has innovative solutions. In 1899, the Santa Justa lift opened, connecting the historic city center with the Carmo Square and the Barrio Alto.
This iron elevator, built in the neo-Gothic style, lifts riders about 7 stories up to the level of the upper neighborhood and offers views of the city.
We have very much enjoyed our walking tour in Lisbon, and now we've come to the Santa Justa elevator to experience the sunset.
It's beautiful at golden hour here.
I think we're all getting a little hungry, so next step might be dinner.
Yeah, let's go.
The Ascensor de Bica, or Bica funicular, is essentially 2 cable cars connected by a thick cable that runs under the tracks. As one car descends the 12% slope, the other car rises up, passing at the midway point.
At the base of the funicular was our dinner spot, Time Out Market, a food hall with nearly 40 restaurants to choose from.
We're starting off our trip in Lisbon by heading to historic Bellem, where we are going to see St. Jerome's Monastery. From what I've read, it can be very difficult to get in here. Super long lines. I think we got really lucky showing up here at 10 a.m. like right when it opened. So we only waited for about like 25 minutes probably from the time we arrived to actually getting in here. And it's definitely worth a 25-minute wait. That's for sure. It's beautiful in here. So this monastery was built in the 1500s and it is in the Gothic style. And it was used as a monastery by monks up until the 1830s when this building was secularized by the government of Portugal. Dan, what do you think of the monastery so far?
Beautiful. I wish there was more information. Like, we haven't learned a lot, but it's a great spot to take some photos. I would definitely recommend it for that reason.
It's super gorgeous, very ornate, but I agree, like, it probably wouldn't actually take us that much time to go through here, and I feel like I would probably be less satisfied with it if I had to wait 3 hours to come in here, which according to the TripAdvisor like reviews that we've read, isn't that uncommon of an experience. Yeah. So I feel really lucky that it didn't take us long.
It was smart to start here first thing in the morning.
We'll see how long we wait at the tower later on. I feel like I had no idea how touristy Lisbon was or how like crowded and busy it was. That's not something I anticipated, but you know, Pop off, Lisbon, I'm happy for you. It doesn't look very busy in here, but it's because they're letting people in like literally 4 or 5 at a time. So I think that's part of why there's normally such a long line to get in here. But it makes it definitely more peaceful to walk around. It's not big crowds.
We are at Pastiche de Bellem, and it's absolutely nuts. There's so many people here, but they're all here for the best custard pastries, custard tarts in the city, allegedly. That's what TripAdvisor would have us believe. We worked up an appetite exploring Jerome Monastery, so we went in search of Portugal's most iconic dessert.
Clearly, we were too hungry to bother filming all that much, but believe me, those pastéis de nata, or Portuguese custard tarts, were delicious.
Here we are at Bellem Tower, a 15th century defensive tower that was originally built out in the middle of the Tagus River, but when the 1755 earthquake came, the whole river moved, and it's now on the shore of the river.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
So like the monastery, this is one of the most popular tourist attractions in Bellem, and we ended up actually just waiting about half an hour, like 35 minutes maybe.
The estimated line length was 1 hour, so
it definitely took less than that.
Yeah,
So again, I feel like this is cool, and I'm happy waiting half an hour for it, but like 2 to 3 hours, like it can sometimes be.
It's really cool on the outside.
Yeah,
and you can see that.
You can see
without
most of
even
it from the
paying, without
outside.
even coming in, but like, if you come all the way to Lisbon, don't you want to go in and see the stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, like you really hear the water in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's worth coming up here for the views.
I think so.
There's some really beautiful views from this tower. Oh yeah, this is so good. That sauce.
It was like 14 something.
It's 17 euros even. Sink your teeth into that. Is it good?
Really good and really affordable. After a delicious and filling lunch at Pau Pau Queijo, we are now headed to the National Coach Museum. All of the places that we've been going to are included on our Lisboa card that we got. One for each of us, obviously, that includes 24 hours of unlimited transit and entry into like 30 odd museums around the city. So obviously we won't be able to go to all of them in the 24-hour period, but we're trying to do as many as we can.
The National Coach Museum houses one of the most impressive collections of historical carriages in the world. In particular, the museum is home to several ornately decorated and well-preserved Spanish royal coaches.
Impressive.
Very interesting. Yeah, there's actually a lot to see here, more than I expected. So I would recommend checking it out. So we finished off our first full day here in Lisbon by visiting the Lisboa Story Center, which is a great museum and like audio guide about the history of Lisbon. It took us about an hour to go through. Again, was included in the Lisboa card. And now I think we're gonna head back to our Airbnb before going and finding some dinner tonight.
But before we made it back to our Airbnb, we had to make one special stop.
This is a old shop where you can buy ginja, which is like a really sour cherry liquor, and that's something Dan and I are obviously not going to drink, but my dad is curious about trying it, so we'll see if he gets some.
So it's a liqueur made from the ginja fruit, which is kind of like a sour cherry.
Oh, so it's not actually cherry, it's just similar.
Yeah, exactly. I should mention it's really strong. It's about 40% alcohol.
Oh God.
And
40? Yes.
And our tour guide said that when you drink it, it like burns.
And I'm the kind of girly for whom strawberry daiquiri burns when I drink it, so I don't think this is right for me.
It's warm. Have a sip. Have a sip. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Hold on, I can smell it strong.
It's not that strong.
A little bit like buckwheat.
Yeah.
It tastes awful, and it works.
It'll kill any. If you got any bacteria in your mouth, it'll kill it for you.
So obviously we were not brave enough to try it, but what do you think about it?
It wasn't too bad. It was a little sweet, but
A little sweet?
we're gonna look for another place to see if we can find something that isn't quite as sweet. But
Okay, sure.
Though we were a little groggy, no trip to Lisbon is complete without riding the city's iconic trams.
So this morning before we leave Lisbon, we obviously have to take my parents on a tram ride, so we're starting the day off with a subway ride to where we can get on tram number 28.
When the first tram line opened 150 years ago, horses were used to pull the rail vehicles filled with people through the streets of Lisbon. Now, historic yellow tram cars wind their way through Lisbon's narrow lanes and steep slopes.
The ride offers views of the city's beautiful architecture and authentic glimpses into the everyday lives of the Lisbon locals, not to mention the sensation of being on a rickety roller coaster.
Having ridden to the last stop, we purchased more Portuguese pastries. Oh, that looks good. That's an apple tart. And Katie's got
Old Faithful.
and hiked up to São Pedro viewpoint to take in the city's sloping panorama for the final time.
Well, we've had a lovely morning exploring Lisbon, but it's actually time for us to head out. We are about to leave on a road trip to the Algarve coast. So I know this video has been a bit of a whirlwind, but thanks for coming along with us. Make sure you are subscribed if you want to see our adventures in southern Portugal, road tripping with my parents. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I would say we love you, we miss you back home, but home is here, they're here. So anyway, we'll see you in the next video. Bye!